This is Corey with Wilkie's Movies and Music. KB reached out to me and asked me, "Hey Corey, what's your favorite John Carpenter movie?" And I gotta say, for as early in the morning as I got that message, that's a pretty tough question to answer. There's a lot of great ones out there. But I have to say, the first one that popped to my mind I had to go with, and that is The Thing. The Thing is one of those movies that ever since I saw it when I was a little kid, it got its hooks into me. There was so much that was going for it. Everything from the alien, not knowing who the enemy is that is around you, who's going to be attacking you, to the environment even playing a huge role of keeping all these people captive at this camp and not being able to escape. And I gotta say, the practical effects are off the chart with this, and one of my favorite things with it, and I still think it holds up great today.
What is my favorite John Carpenter film? And for me, that's an easy choice. Gotta go with the classic Big Trouble in Little China. This is my jam right here. I watched this a lot growing up on TV, VHS. Got the Blu-ray. Had to get the collector's edition steelbook from Shout Factory. That design is awesome. I love it. All about the reflexes. So with this, you get the action, got the horror element, get the classic Kurt Russell as Jack Burton. Yeah, what's not to love about this film?
What's my favorite John Carpenter movie? Well, I am going to surprise a lot of you because I'm sure right off the bat, immediately you're going to assume that I would say Halloween because you guys know I love my slasher movies, so that would be the obvious answer. However, it is actually The Thing. And the reason why The Thing is my favorite John Carpenter film is because, number one, all the practical effects, the way they made The Thing look so real, so creepy, so twisted. I absolutely love it.
Now, my favorite horror movie franchise is Halloween, but that is not my favorite John Carpenter film. Now, he's made some amazing movies. I love them all, but my favorite John Carpenter film has to be The Thing. Now, to me, this movie is a masterpiece. From the acting, the atmosphere, the practical effects are amazing. The scene where they're testing the blood, I love that scene. The score, of course, John Carpenter's scores are always amazing. And the ending of this film is just, it leaves it up to your imagination. Just a fantastic movie.
So, John Carpenter, one of my absolute favorite directors. There isn't a movie that he has in his resume that I don't enjoy, that I don't love. I love, like, absolute favorite movie of his is The Fog. Great atmosphere. It's very creepy. It's great cast. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis in there. You've got Adrienne Barbeau, Tom Atkins, Ghost Pirates. It is just an overall fun movie. And if you haven't checked it out, I would suggest check it out.
Not only is this my favorite John Carpenter film, it's my favorite movie of all time, and that is The Thing. I love it so much. It's the movie that I think is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about it. It is suspenseful. It is isolating. It's like one of the best movies that just kind of puts you in the movie because there's nowhere really to run from it. The Thing can be literally anybody. It's pretty much the game Werewolves. Like, if you play that at a group setting, way before that happened. I love everything about it. It's so atmospheric. I could go on and on just talking about my love for it.
Hey film fans, David here with Film Collector Archive. The 1978 independent classic Halloween is my favorite John Carpenter film. The spooky suburban set events in Haddonfield helped form my identity as a horror fan at a very young age and came to define the fall-time holiday itself. From the entrancing yet simple score to the effective camera work and memorable cast, this shoestring budget success helped pave the way for other independent filmmakers and solidified the slasher subgenre as an entertainment force that would take a death grip on the 80s.
I gotta go with not a popular pick, one that most people forget he directed, but it is 100% my favorite Carpenter film, and that is going to be Christine. I love it because of the absurdity of the film. Like, killer car, how scary could that be? And somehow Carpenter and company make it frightening. A big takeaway for this movie with me is the score. It's my favorite Carpenter score, particularly the track Show Me is my favorite. I get goosebumps every time I play it. It's saved on my Spotify. And look, I'm a big defender of Halloween Ends, and that movie is basically a modern day remake of Christine with, obvious changes, but yeah, Christine.
Mark from Tales from the Shelf here, and I was asked what my favorite John Carpenter film is, and to me, maybe not the most exciting answer, but it's the right answer in my book. Halloween. It's the immortal classic. It's the greatest slasher movie of all time. In my opinion, it's the best horror movie of all time. You just can't beat it, man. It's Halloween.
I think one of the greatest horror films of all time, that is easily John Carpenter's The Thing. Not Halloween. I love Halloween, but when I think about The Thing, this is the film that every time I watch it, it still constantly impresses me. From everything, from the intensity, from the Robotine stuff, to the music, to the atmosphere. The Thing is truly not only the best John Carpenter film to me, but one of the greatest horror films of all time.
My favorite is John Carpenter's Vampires. It's probably a B horror schlocky vampire kill fest, but I think it has a really important place in my heart because it's one of the first R-rated films I saw with my dad. It came out about a month after Blade, so I was in the mood for that sort of badass, cool era. And James Woods, can't forget about him. I loved him in Cat's Eye, and this is definitely one of the titles that might not get as much love as the others in John Carpenter's oeuvre, but I think it's one of the best.
Happy Halloween, happy spooky season. So my pick for my favorite John Carpenter movie is They Live. I absolutely love everything about it. I love the whole combination of sci-fi and horror mixed in there. I love that it's it's kind of like taking the rose-colored glasses off, I've always felt, and seeing the reality. It's got a little bit of like Matrix vibes, Black Mirror, Twilight Zone. I love all of that. I love Roddy Piper and Keith David in it, and I just think it's like a very timeless concept. Everything about consumerism and how things were thought of socially in the 80s, I think it still resonates now, and I think that the film doesn't feel dated at all as far as its messaging goes. Yeah, I love this movie so much. I think it holds up 100%. Definitely timeless.
My favorite John Carpenter movie is, of course, it is Halloween. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. I love the score, I love the tone, I love obviously the Michael Myers character. I love the story, that it's just about a guy who breaks out of the psychiatric hospital and just want to kill teenagers. I mean, I still remember the first time I saw this, and it still today is my favorite horror movie of all time, let alone my favorite John Carpenter movie. It's the movie that put him on the map. And yeah, I love this movie.
My number one is definitely The Thing. This is also starring Kurt Russell. It's Rob Bottin did the horror, the creature effects in the movie, and he did a great job with that. And he definitely made it look real, and people love this movie altogether. It definitely was not extremely popular in 1982, and it's kind of grown this huge cult following over the years. But definitely, The Thing is my number one.
Favorite John Carpenter film, people who know me should already know it would be 1978's Halloween. This is one of my favorite movies. I remember this is one of the first horror movies I remember watching as a kid. I just love it. Laurie Strode and Michael, good versus evil, and Michael's just a badass villain. So of course I'm going with John Carpenter's Halloween 1978.
Ahoy there, my name is Derek, the Convicted Cinephile, and my close personal friend KB Loves Movies asked for me to talk about my favorite John Carpenter movie and why I love it. I don't want to make it too obvious, and it's probably a pretty lame choice just because it's so many people's favorite, but it's so many people's favorite for a reason, and that is The Thing, John Carpenter's 1982 box office flop classic. It's a cult classic, but It's so well revered now that like it almost doesn't even deserve that title. It's just a classic at this point. It was way ahead of its time. The special effects in it hold up today, 40 plus years later. It's his best directed film in my opinion. It's the most rewatchable film of his, I would say. I've probably seen Halloween a few more times just because it was my favorite movie of all time. And I have known The Thing since before I had seen Halloween for the first time. So I've been watching it for 30 years now, give or take. This has become my favorite film of his easily.
KB over at KB Loves Movies as part of his spooky little thing that he's doing right now, which by the way, I love it, man. He asked me what was my favorite John Carpenter directed movie and why. And I will tell you, I know this is going to be cliche, but this is my opinion. Part 4 being the original one that I seen when I was only 5 years old. But Halloween is definitely my favorite John Carpenter movie, and here is why. Nothing scared me more than the blank, white stare of that mask of Michael Myers. His presence, his everything, just as a kid, scared the living out. Will forever be my favorite, and number 2 is going to be They Live, because I actually love that one, but to me that was more of a comedy. Nothing shook me more than Halloween and Michael Myers. Anyways, thanks for having me be a part of this, KB. Much love and respect. Peace.
Everything's working out. We got the Halloween shirt, so you already know what I'm choosing. Halloween, baby. The best John Carpenter movie. They Live is really good as well. I love Keith David, but gonna go with Halloween.
My favorite John Carpenter movie. That's an easy question. The answer to that question is The Thing. Classic horror movie. I just saw it for the first time recently within the last couple of years. And the reason that it's my favorite is because, well, a few reasons. One, my initial viewing, my first viewing of it was in the movie theater, so I actually got to see it the way it was meant to be seen for the first time. Second, you know, its use of practical effects is unprecedented. You don't see movies being made like that anymore. And third, I love how it handles the themes of isolation and paranoia, and that makes for a really, really good horror movie. It's not one of the scariest movies. It's actually not very scary, but it is still a very, very good and a very effective horror movie.
Pretty sure it's obvious. With everything behind me right here. My favorite John Carpenter movie is Halloween. The reason for that is because I know several times growing up I watched this movie on TV. And it still held the chill factor. It didn't have to be R to still be creepy. And that's why I chose Halloween as my favorite John Carpenter movie.
Oh, and can I talk about Ennio Morricone's Razzie nomination for Worst Score for this movie? That's bullshit. The music's amazing.